Welcome to the 2020 Virtual Candidate Forum. Our desire is to create informed voters by giving the Plant City community an opportunity to meet every candidate on their ballot.
At the Greater Plant City Chamber of Commerce, we are a connector and convener in the community of current and rising leaders. When we all work together, we are Plant City Strong.
This event would not be possible without community involvement. We would like to thank Tampa Electric, Fried Egg Productions, South Florida Baptist Hospital, the Hillsborough County Farm Bureau, and the many other generous supporters.
Without further ado, let's hear from this candidate.
Hello, my name is Chuck Gore. I'm with Stahl & Associates Insurance. I'm a member of the Greater Plant City Chamber of Commerce, and I have the pleasure of serving on the Government Affairs Committee and our Board of Directors. Our committee has prepared a few questions for every candidate on the ballot running for positions that will represent residents of Plant City. Today, I'm here with Mike Perotti, who is running for State Attorney. Mike, if you'd like to just take a few minutes and give us an introduction of yourself.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for having me. I'm a third-generation Tampa native. I have spent literally my entire professional career in public service to one extent or another. Started as a state attorney when I first finished law school. Had an opportunity to join the sheriff's office as in-house counsel years later. Actually had a private practice for a while. In 2010, was asked to move over to the command side of the equation for the sheriff's office and ran our local jails here in Hillsborough County from 2010 as a major up to being promoted to colonel in 2017. And under the new sheriff's regime, I was asked to return back to legal and help out from that standpoint. And as I've done all that and been part of this community trying to protect and serve in any way that I can, I can't seem to help myself but to feel the need to try to take it to the next level. I think there's a need for strong leadership. There's a need for somebody who really understands the entire equation, if you will, that our community's facing right now. And since I've been on all sides of it, I've prosecuted, I've defended, I've worked with plaintiffs' attorneys, I've worked with defendants, I've trained law enforcement, I've disciplined law enforcement, I've run a jail, I've seen what is or is not working in our community. I'm just ready to try to step up and be the one that's responsible and can really take control of the situation for the betterment of the community.
Okay. You've kind of started on the next question here, so I'll let you drill down a little bit. It says, why are you specifically running for office?
I came from a family that started off with not a lot. We did not have tremendous wealth. We lived in apartments and duplexes as a childhood. I remember my mom making my furniture out of things, scraps that she found and things from Goodwill and stuff like that. And I was blessed to have two parents that literally busted their butts and sacrificed everything to give me the best education, the best opportunity that they could. I was able to go to Jesuit High School here in Tampa, Florida. I was able to get my 4-year degree from the University of Florida, able to go to law school at the University of Florida. And I've since in my career had tremendous opportunities to see and experience and be part of both the best and some of the most difficult aspects of leadership. And as I sit here now at the age of 48 and having experienced the great thrill and rewarding reality that can be trying to be a leader and a mentor for men and women trying to do something noble, I feel like I would not be upholding mine to the bargain if I don't try to aspire to regaining a leadership role, in particular the state attorney's office, because I can fix it. There are so many things that we can do better. I think we're the greatest country in the world. Don't get me wrong. I think that we have a tremendous legal system and concept, but there are things that we can do better. They require a lot of courage. They require a lot of honesty, and they require relationships. They require the capacity to reach across different lines and be able to get the judges to understand certain things. The defense bar, the law enforcement folks, the plaintiff's attorney bar, all being able to work together for a better version of ourselves. And I think it's a difficult time right now, and it's going to take folks that are willing to put themselves in the line of fire, if you will. And I think I was kind of brought up for that. So I'm unafraid. I believe in principles and right and wrong and not politics. So I think that's what the community could use right now.
Okay, very good, which segues nicely into the next question. What do you think the state's attorney's office can do to eliminate racial inequity in our court system?
I think it's a pivotal role because you are the gatekeeper for that courtroom. And all anybody really wants, I mean, if we can get past the hashtags and the anger and the resentment, what everybody wants and in fact deserves is fairness, consistency, to know that regardless of whether or not they come from wealth or not, or the color of their skin, the outcome and the potential outcomes that they're going to have in the criminal justice system are going to be the same. They're going to be fair. They're going to be reasonable. It's going to be the interests of the victims and the best interests of the community that stay at the front and center of all the decision making of that office. I think that the state attorney's office has a huge role to play in trying to guide and assist law enforcement in making the right decisions from square one. I think that you know when you have particularly difficult times like we have right now, leading from the front means you need to be out there. You need to be looking at what's occurring on the streets of our community real time as they're happening so that you can assist in making fundamentally wise decisions about what is the greater interest that we need to protect right now, because everybody likes the First Amendment rights. Everybody wants to protect those. It's the foundation of our country, but it can never be at the expense of endangering other people or causing damage or further harm to our community. And I think that strong leadership gets out in front of that and makes that very clear that that's going to be how we're going to participate in this exchange of ideas and how we're going to find the solutions that everybody's looking for. You can't find a bigger role in my mind right now than the Office of the State Attorney. It is the one that literally holds all the keys to justice or the lack thereof. And it's, you know, truly, it is what every single person in this community deserves, is knowing that they're going to get a fair shake and that people who need help will get help. And that folks that have been wrongfully accused are not going to be held up unnecessarily in a drawn out legal system that's not required. And that folks that have been injured or have been victims of crime get their day too, because their rights matter.
Very good. In 2019, a study reported that the state of Florida sends more juveniles through the adult court system than does any other state in the country. Do you think this is the correct process, or what should be done to address this?
No, I think that you've got to be very careful because we start to paint things with a very broad brush. Every single person should be dedicated to trying to ensure that we can steer juvenile offenders away and out of the system to the best of our ability. The challenge so often is finding meaningful alternatives to traditional justice systems to try to still drive home and impact them that those decisions they were making, those choices they were making, are not the right ones. That role model that perhaps they thought they had found in the neighborhood that was behaving poorly, that now they're going to follow in those footsteps. How do we get that young person's attention so that this doesn't become a pattern of repeat offending and it just gets worse and worse and worse over time? So it's a balance of how do we show compassion and nurturing and encouragement without having the net effect of doing nothing from a consequences standpoint, because what you run the risk of, as I've said before in other conversations, is the same thing we see when we have absentee parents, right? It's the parents love their child, they mean well, but if they never hold them accountable and never have repercussions for bad behavior, what does the child learn about what those lines are that can't be crossed? So there's a very delicate balancing act. And what I would do as state attorney is really focus on meaningful cooperative and collaboration efforts with the community, whether it's the religious portions of the community and the pastors, or public service, community service groups, 501c3s from within the community itself, that we can partner with to say, okay, we've got this young offender, they're starting down the wrong road. What can we do working as a team now to encourage them to follow a different path in life? Because what I don't want to see is 5, 6, 7 juvenile arrests that nothing happened and nobody got their attention. And now they're getting adult felony arrests because they've gotten beyond the age of 18, because that means the system has failed them. And the system has not only failed them, it's now failed all of us, because it's now another person that might be stuck in that loop of decision-making where all we're looking at is incarceration after incarceration. And that's just sad. And we've got to do better than that.
Very good. If elected, what is your priority for your first term of office?
Anybody going into a new office, if you're going to be the leader that people expect and deserve you to be, the first thing you do is you sit down and you set forth new expectations and the guiding principles for your office. So there's about 300 employees inside the state attorney's office right now, and it would certainly be my pleasure to be able to sit down with every single one of them, make sure that they understand exactly what my non-negotiables are, what the things that the principles I will adhere to, the expectations I will have for that office, and find out who can go on that journey with me and who maybe doesn't want to. Then you start assembling your team, and you got to assemble your team not just with people that view the world through the same lens you do, because that becomes lopsided. You end up with a crazy echo chamber of like-minded people. I want people with the same morals and values, but I want to surround myself with people that come from completely different walks of life, with different notions, understandings of how we could possibly solve problems, because when we all collaborate and work together, then we're going to come up with some pretty remarkable and steadfast solutions. So first, you assemble your team. Job priority number one, I think for anybody coming into this reality right now, is you start completely pulling apart and unraveling our justice system as it exists right now, looking for any opportunities to make significant, immediate strides in transparency and accountability, because that's what so much of this reduces down to, right? It is not just about outcomes, it's about how we achieve those outcomes. And every single person in this community and every other community deserves to know that there's no games being played. There's no numbers being crunched to make results look a certain way. It is open, transparent, and that is how you build trust. And we've got to restore trust in our criminal justice community with all of our citizens, both with the ones that feel like they're being oppressed or wrongfully treated by the system, as well as the victims that feel like they're not being heard and their needs aren't being addressed either. So that becomes the forefront of my 1-2 punch, if you will, when I first get in that office.
Very good. Well, thank you for that answer. Kind of as a bookend here, is there anything else that you would specifically like for voters to know about you, and why come election time they should vote for you?
Well, I'll tell you that I've been very, very active in our political process from a pure voting standpoint for many years now. And I can only tell you that it seems like year after year, what I walk away wishing for was that I could find somebody to believe in and get passionate about, who's not actually an aspiring politician trying to climb the ladder to some higher position of office or power or anything else like that, who's not so entrenched in party politics that he or she is willing to throw daggers and start wars of words, as opposed to working on common sense and what is needed. Because oftentimes it seems to me, and maybe I've lost my mind, it seems to me the right answer is somewhere kind of in the middle. And we need leaders that will find solutions and not just worry about, again, towing a party line. I'm a lifelong Republican. I have my steadfast principles and morals that I was raised with, that I will not ever give away or sell. But I think we need strong leadership that can lead people in a direction towards getting away from some of this constant fighting and bickering and throwing insults at one another just because somebody might have a different perspective or view on things. A wise person once said, the truth is both plural and mutable. And I've always loved that quote, because depending on where you come from, the truth really can be different, but yet true for both people. And we need leaders right now that can mend, leaders that can lead by example, that can ensure that political expedience doesn't become the guiding light for how we make decisions. And I'm just happy to step up and be that person. And I hope this community, I don't come from any wealth. I'm not a political household name. I hope this community will give me a chance, because I truly believe that they will be very happy with the work product that I give them for the next 4 years. Okay,
very good. Well, you have about 2 minutes. Is there anything that you want to put on that, or do you feel like that people have a pretty good for who Mike Perotti?
No, I would just say conclusion in a larger sense. I obviously come from a background where I have close relationships with the law enforcement community. I know how many hard-working, good men and women, spend day after day, night after night out there trying to do what's right. We're at a place in time where there's a lot of friction and there's a lot of breakdown in communication between parts of our local community and law enforcement. And I'm hopeful that everyone will just give both sides a chance to come out of this on the other side in a better place, and that we can back off from some of the acrimony. I'm hopeful that the law enforcement leaders will take a hard look at community-oriented policing, something that's been popular for a long time, but that I don't know that we've had the perhaps right amount of emphasis on of late. And if we can get back to that community-oriented policing and rebuild that trust with our community and have leaders that will always do what's right and what's best for the community over their own needs and interests, I think we've got a very bright future. And I couldn't be more excited to be part of it. And you know, we'll see what happens.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. That concludes our time. Good luck at the poll.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.